Welcome back to another week of Obscura Undead music reviews. I'm Mouse.
I'm Azzy.
And this week we have one music review for you. We have an EP by the band Chaos Bleak.
Yes.
Chaos Bleak.
Correct. And this is their second release. It is called The Bleakest Hour. It is an EP.
It is an EP. It is a 6-track EP. This band, by the way, they come out of Nottingham, UK. So expect UK goth rock at its finest.
Yep. And the band has a track record, actually. The band members have a track record of having produced UK-style goth rock, since the late 80s to mid-ish 90s.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. There are members from this band that were in established bands from, I'd still call it 90s goth rock.
I would call it 90s goth rock, absolutely.
90s goth rock, because I don't think those bands formed until like 88, 89.
Yeah, something like that. The bands that we're talking about specifically are 13 Candles, which, great band. And then Every New Dead Ghost, also a great band. These bands showed up on at least a lot of the comps I listened to from that era.
I have some goth comps that have like 13 Candles on it. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if I had Every New Dead Ghost. That might have been more obscure, or were they popular?
I don't know, because I wasn't alive. I wasn't alive in the goth scene in the 90s.
Oh my God, you weren't alive. You weren't born yet. Regardless, these members got together. They have Chaos Bleak, and I like their little logo with their chaos symbol and the Eye of Ra.
It's very goth, and they describe themselves as Chaos Bleak. Take inspiration from the early post-punk sound before the Sisters of Mercy became the template. What would Play Dead sound like if they formed in 2019? Yep. I don't know. My assessment of their description is that they sound very 90s.
They still do sound very 90s at heart. Mm-hmm. But when we start talking about the EP, I feel that it's they're trying to modernize it a little bit more, right, which is pulling out the heart of the 90s goth. And I don't even know how to describe it properly, but 90s goth sounds fuller and more natural. And they've got a couple of tracks that are tacked on to the end of the EP, which are covers.
Well, rehashes? We'll talk about them when we get to them.
The EP is broken up into 4 tracks that are original tracks by the band, and then the 2 covers. 3 of those 4 tracks were already released as singles on their Bandcamp. So you can find Empty Morning, Return Revenge, and Watch the Night Sky.
Well, this is the first core goth rock album that we've reviewed in a while.
Since Sun Sombra, maybe?
In a while. That was the beginning of this year.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was kind of nice returning to something that wasn't super post-punk or super dark wave or any of that. Like something. So this album is very guitar driven, and just if you have a goth rock itch and you want to scratch it, this I think is the release of the week that you need to be listening to.
And we have a lot of post-punk that's been coming out recently by fresh young bands. So it was interesting to see that a goth rock band popped up, even though they're experienced band members that have already been in the scene for a couple of decades.
Right. But, that experience, at least with the 90s sound being, modernized, it's kind of very timely. It's perfect right now because, well, Ian's been saying it for a while, and I agree with him that we're kind of in like a 90s goth sound revival right now, where people just can't consume that enough.
90s revival. 90s revival has been trying to happen for a while, and I cannot wait for us to be in the middle of it so that everybody looks around and they realize that the 90s are finally back. I can't wait.
Yeah. So the album starts off with Empty Morning, which it really does set the tone for the entire album, which is, super guitar heavy, very danceable, makes you tap your foot.
It's got some atmospheric bonging.
The bells. Oh, the
where they
bells.
church towers or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to it and I'm like, what? Where's that bonging coming from?
Great.
Anyway, that's what makes that track stand out.
I was just listening to another track this week that started off and ended with like the same bells. So like listening to this track just made me laugh.
Tolling
like,
bells.
Oh, we're back here again. This is awesome.
Right. Why not? It's a great first track to start it out with. Return Revenge. Also, one of my favorite parts of that was the backup vocals that they have. So they're singing the chorus, and then you could hear like the little backup vocal in it. Mm-hmm. That adds a nice layer to it. They have some words that they put for the Watch the Night Sky single. It says that it was exploring the relationship between real and imagined terror. Who as a child hasn't lain in bed afraid that what we saw on TV is real, only to discover as an adult that things are much worse. Face your greatest fear.
Oh, it's about growing up on a steady diet of B horror movies, isn't it? Because that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, so that was.
I really enjoyed this track. I think that Watch the Night Sky was my favorite track. But honestly, you throw anything that's on about like shitty horror and sci-fi movies, and I'm all over it. I love that.
Seven Orchids, the only song that wasn't previously released as a single. Still very good, kind of romantic, has those great like backup vocals, harmonizing vocals in the back, which I do enjoy.
Yeah, I didn't hear those until like the second or third listen. Like I didn't hear them on the first listen through, and then when I heard them, I was like, oh, this is really nice.
Mm-hmm. And then the standout for me were these covers. I thought it was interesting that they were there, but they were still the strongest part of the EP.
Right, because they covered 13 Candles' Xenomorph. I'm kind of in agreement with you. I thought that they were the strongest part of the EP, but Xenomorph, it feels like a dance floor update, like a more driving dance floor update of the original 13 Candles track, which was moodier.
I listened to them back to back, original 13 Candles and the Chaos Bleak version, and it didn't seem dancier to me. It seemed more scaled back. Like when you're listening to a UK 90s goth rock, it sounds, full, like I said, like a wall of sound. You've got all your guitars and all your bass, and the new version, actually, like the whole EP sounded like it could use more bass, or more low end, or maybe even more mid end or mid levels.
Well, my comment on it
balance it out.
My comment on it being more of a dance floor track, I absolutely base that off of the drums are so fronted compared to the 13 Candles track or version.
Yeah, that is a big difference.
Yeah.
The last track, Miranda, which is an every new dead ghost. I'm really bad at remembering bands that have 4 words in them. Okay, Every New Dead Ghost, Miranda. So again, when you listen to them back to back, you hear this like the Every New Dead Ghost version. It's like this flow that's just natural, but the Chaos Bleak version of it sounds more laid out, like electronically. There is both guitar and some synth elements to it, which is why I like the track Miranda to begin with, because it starts out with like a keyboard synth. But throughout the whole song, it's less leaning on the guitars to me.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that they decided to do these covers or rehashes of songs from bands that members had previously been in. I kind of really want to know the motivation for that.
I mean, I'm thinking it's to let people know, hey, these are the bands that I was in, but also they own the rights to those.
Well, I was thinking it might be more along the lines of, I really want to redo this song with like the tools that I have now.
Let's modernize a classic And that's a great idea. If I was in a new band 30 years later, I'd love to update songs that were good to me in the past, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, like, if you're going to pick a song to try to, like, do that with, like, Xenomorph is such a jam. The original's a jam. The cover is a jam.
Actually, it caused me to go back and listen to a bunch of 90s goth rock. So I've been in that mood all day, and I'm just like, yeah, you know?
Perfect.
Actually, I one of the songs, I think it was Miranda, the vocals remind me a lot of Ex Voto. So I went back or maybe it was just causing me to yearn for those vocals.
Oh,
so,
like a very, like, Seven Sisters Ex Voto vibe, right?
Yeah, so I was...
yeah, I can totally see that.
After listening to this, it just made me want to hear some Ex Voto. Also, one of the songs, and I can't remember which one of the album particularly, but it reminds me a lot of the Kentucky Vampires.
Was that Return Revenge?
I think it might be. And then all of a sudden, like, a Kentucky Vampire song would get in my head. The Morningstar one.
Oh, yeah, no, Mouse. I think we might be getting closer to that middle of 90s goth revival that you want, especially if you're just like, oh, I need to go listen to this thing from 20 years ago, this thing from 30 years ago, this thing from last week. Yeah.
Yes. Mix it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this is a great effort from the band. Would love to see a full album, see what they do with that. We need to see more goth rock from newer bands. And I say new as in, like, who are the kids who are inspired by the 90s goth rock? You should be making music now.
Like, you're clearly out there listening to this.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be people who go back and listen to 90s goth rock and they're reminiscing about it. Except, you know, you could be like me, but you're a musician. Hey, you're a musician. You, I'm pointing at you. Or is it this direction?
Oh, what?
You, I'm trying to point at you, but I don't know which way you are.
I have no idea anymore. I live in this room, I die in this room.
Yes, me too. I feel like I've just been in this room for like 4 months.
Yeah, but so take a listen to Chaos Bleak, The Bleakest Hour, their latest EP. It was released on July 13th. Check it out. Tell us what you think of it. Tell us if you agree with us, disagree. Who does this remind you of?
Put it in the comments.
Yeah, comment. Ooh, comment.
It sounded like you were singing comment chameleon.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Comment below. Thank you.
But yeah, that's it for this week's review. Thanks for joining us. We hope you like these short format videos that we've been trying to do to make it a little bit easier on us and the viewers, you guys. Check us out in our other places where we're doing other shit throughout the week, like twitch.tv/obscureanddead, which we have a radio show that we're going to be doing right after recording this. So that is Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 1 hour. Sometimes a little longer. Thursdays we have our Subculture Shock series where we discuss topics related to the goth scene. We recently did one about misogyny with some amazing female DJs. And check us out on Fridays with our Obscure Undead Virtual Club. Yeah.
All right, and we're going to thank our patrons. Thank you guys so much for all the help that you do.
Scroll across the screen. Yeah, and if you want to support us on Patreon, you can find the link below. If you want to just give us a one-time donation, that's cool too. If you want to just click on our Amazon affiliate link and buy your Amazon shit, that helps as well. It helps us continue to, put in the time and effort and resources into keeping this show up. But yeah. Check out the news episode from this week. Check out where the other places where we are throughout the week. There'll be links to everything in the show notes. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Love you. Bye.